Alright, we are live. Hello, everyone. Hello, my little fox kits, and welcome back to more of our life, beginnings and always. Oh, wait. That's right, you guys can't see me. Let me fix that. Where is it at? Ah, here I am. Hi, everyone. Welcome. We're playing some more Our Life today. Yeah. Hope you guys like this. Oh, you gave a head pat. Oh, you want a head pat? I can give a head pat. Watch this. Thank you for the head pat. Much appreciated, Jeebus. Yeah. But hi, everyone. Welcome. Oh, let me in Discord 1 sec. There we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to more Our Life Beginnings and Always. I am Susan the Sakura, an Arctic fox who lives in a Sakura Grove. And, yeah, you guys may be wondering, wow, did I become a VTuber? Technically, yes and no. So basically on Twitter, there's this, program, this free program that lets you make these little, VTubers, for free. And you're able to incorporate them into OBS and whatnot, and you're able to give them stuff to do and whatnot. So, yeah. This is basically one of the, this is basically my own model. I made it myself. Yeah. I can fully show it here if I can. Let me pull myself up. I can find myself. There I am. Here's me. I have a tail that moves. I don't want it to take up the whole screen. I mean... stand here, maybe? Even my tail does move, but I want you guys to still be able to see the screen, so... yeah! So welcome everyone. I am Susan, and I am an Arctic fox who lives in a Sakura Grove. And with me, of course, as always, is my lovely boyfriend. Say hello.
Good evening, everyone, and hang on a second.
Hey, go to friggin' sleep. You're not supposed to be here till tomorrow morning.
Fine.
Sorry about that, everybody. Hey, guys. That was totally a different person.
But yeah, welcome everyone. So yeah, this is me testing out basically how well this new this VTuber program works. And so far, I am not having any problems. And yes, there is points redeems now for me changing outfits, and you can also head pat me and throw stuff at me. I have to do the head pats and the throwing things manually though, but because the hotkeys are because it's weird. But you can like throw stuff at me, give me head pats. I have to, like I said, I have to do that manually, but oh, it worked somehow. Well, the throw thing worked. I don't know about the head pat thing, but that worked. Thank you for that, Jeebus. But yeah, so, welcome. There's also, I can change outfits. I have 4 different outfits that I can show you guys real quick. Going over my thing again, I'm gonna stand in the screen a bit so you can see me. It's me. This is my kimono look. And then I got other options. There's option 2. I have a hoodie look. And option 3, I have a dress. Little maid dress. And option 4, I have a little slime outfit. I call this my Altair fan outfit because Altair always said he wanted like a blue slime like mascot, so I think this is cute. I made it Altair's colors, so yeah. But we're gonna go back to option 1. Let me move myself back down. There we go. Okay, so that being said, let's continue. So I'm gonna put my OBS away and put up the game for you guys. So here's where we are now. So we're right now entering into step 3. So we pretty much already admitted that we do love Cove, so we'll say that we love him. We're pretty relaxed with him, so yeah. So, I apologize if I won't be able to see chat fully, but I hope you guys do enjoy yourselves. I am very excited for this, so yeah. Let's go. Yes. We'll do both for Cove. Look at our boy. Get to customize him a little bit.
I take it that you view glasses as a good aesthetic for somebody because I noticed you've been doing that for the last couple coves.
Cove looks good in glasses.
Fair enough.
I think anybody wearing glasses looks good.
Fair point. Yeah, I was just curious. Okay.
Oh, thanks. Change page. Change page. Keep it blue. Change page. That's nice.
Kind of odd they kind of skimmed down on some of the options. Weird.
Alright. So, that's done.
Excellent.
Since you're romantically interested in Cove and are old enough to start being physically affectionate more seriously, you can choose what initiative level he has through step 3. Making sure the player experiences what they want is important in our life, but always putting your choice first can potentially make a relationship feel one-sided. So we've added some flexibility in how it works out. Low initiative means that Cove will occasionally ask to touch the MC, and in those situations there will always be an opportunity to say yes or no. For example, he won't simply lean over and kiss the MC as a greeting or in an emotional moment. Every piece of physical interaction will be either initiated or approved by the player before it happens. Middle initiative means there will be those certain times when Cove requests to touch the MC. Many chances to initiate affection on your own, and also Cove will pretty regularly give affection automatically. One example will be giving the MC a kiss because he's happy or emotional or something else. And in other situations, you can choose not to make the first move in order to give Cove the space to be the one to act afterwards. Overall, Cove can get romantic, but the player's agency will take priority. High initiative includes everything the middle does, but it also means that the player agency will be reduced to a degree in favor of having Cove get physically affectionate even more frequently and with less prompting. Instead of all the major affection-giving situations being led by a choice menu for you to decide on, some will instead be replaced by Cove acting automatically. This level is only recommended if you're very comfortable with physical affection and would prefer to simply see it happen rather than always holding the reins on it. However, this level is mostly relevant if Cove ends up as your official boyfriend at some point. Oh. Situations where high-level initiative makes a difference tend to come up in scenes that are exclusive to being in a relationship. The parts are also included in the middle initiative with seeing whether you're dating or not. Once you pick your level, it can't be changed later, so keep your full playthrough in mind when deciding. You'll enjoy whichever initiative option you decide on. So, this is another thing. If you yourself are not comfortable with physically giving affection to people, you can set it for however high or low you want it. I'm personally comfortable with physical affection as long as it's by someone I love, so I'm gonna go high for this one.
Sounds good.
Let me just quickly save, just in case.
Of course.
Startup classes ended the relaxed, free days of summer. It didn't take long for you to get back into the swing of the school year routine. Schedules and homework became the new normal. Derek wasn't around nearly as much. With school and after-school activities, there weren't many opportunities for him to take the trip out to your neighborhood. Sometimes you hear that he was at a training camp or something like that, but you weren't always sure what he was up to. You still kept in touch. The Jeremy kid disappeared after that summer, and no one else heard from him again. Where he went or what he might be up to was a mystery. You saw more Miranda around. Since you had hung out with her on her birthday, she had opened up to you. The two of you talked regularly. She was the same towards Cove. After a while, all three of you developed a real friendship together. More summers came and went like the waves of the shore coming in and out. In your second year of high school, someone new started to visit Sunset Bird, a sunny girl named Terry Brooke. She was a friend of Cove's made due to both of them being ocean obsessed. Terry was more than glad to befriend you too. Someone close to Cove had to be good company, she felt. You were pleased to get along with her as well. Funnily enough, Terry was also extremely tight with Miranda, who she had known for even longer than Cove. The four of you were able to create a small friend circle. As for your home life, the Sakuras also had developments. Changing laws and public perception countrywide made it possible for your moms to openly wear their wedding rings without questions. Let's go. Though they had a wedding years ago, it was only recently that the union was officially recognized everywhere in the US. That was a good day, to say the least. Elizabeth came into her own and stopped being quite as irritable. She no longer worried about perceived childness, and she grew up for real. She didn't even mind being called Lizzie again, although most people use Liz. She eventually graduated high school and moved out to attend college in another state. It was a lot for you to adjust to your older sister being gone. Liz never let you forget her role in your life, though, and kept in touch. Cole's relationship with his family improved over the years. Tyra visited several times after that summer, and things became easier between the two. He was also closer with his dad than ever before. He knew they talked more, and that helped prevent a lot of friction before it could start. And Cole only continued to open up to his parents and to the rest of the world. He was so bright, he shone. He would willingly join conversations, make jokes, and put in an effort to use overly blunt phrasing. Cole remained interested in everything across the spectrum. He loved to learn and stay inside, but he also loved getting to get outside and participate in more physical activities. He was multi-talented. Things had shifted between you and Cole, but in a way that most couldn't see. After all this time, he wasn't just your neighbor. He wasn't only your friend or even a guy you were interested in. You were in love with him. You loved Cole. You knew that for certain. There was no one else you held those feelings for. It was strange to look back on it all. The future faded into your present, and then it was simply the past. Even the most fundamental parts of your life couldn't last forever. You felt that the most poignantly the day you inevitably graduated high school. It was over, and you would not be going back ever again. From now on, what came next was your choice. You would be directing your own life. That was where you were currently, the summer after school had ended, the first summer of true freedom. What used to be a reprieve from the typical was now going to be your first step into adulthood. Wow, you graduated high school.
Yay.
One fine summer morning, you took in what had become a very special scene, the whole family having a meal together. Your big sister Liz still hadn't lived at home full time for a couple of years, but she arrived last week to spend the season here since it was an off semester for her. She wanted to make sure she was in town because now you also had graduated high school, so you knew how much rarer these moments would become in the future. You watched on as Liz laughed good-naturedly over a comment Mom made. Her Elizabeth-only mindset had only been a phase. Nearly any nickname was welcome at this point in her life. Strangely, even though she moved away, you lately felt closer to her than you had in a long time. You idly skipped at more of your breakfast and chewed absent-mindedly. You generally ate whatever. And the meal you had reflected on that, included just about everything your moms had made, though you often made your own food nowadays. With Liz around, your parents made more options than usual. Your sister had been vegetarian for a while, and they wanted to make sure she had choices too. Uh-oh.
I guess with the your one showing up on
Oh
screen,
no.
the screen just crashed.
Oh no, my game crashed. Oh no. Oh no, that's not good. Oh no, it's not good. Ugh, my game crashed, that's sad. Oh no.
Technical difficulties, folks. We'll be back. The game will be back on shortly.
Maybe I should... I'm probably gonna have to close my Twitch then. Maybe I'll close my Chrome and see if that helps.
Yeah, especially because you said earlier you probably won't be reading chat much anyways, so I got it already on my end.
Yeah, can you keep an eye on it for me, please?
Way ahead of you. I've had the browser opened, Twitch window open. Start.
Okay, we got through that. Generally, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
There we go.
Let me know. Yeah, let me
Okay.
just know when you're ready. Screen share again.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, good. Okay.
Conversation had gone on idly without you fully taking in the words until your ears were peeled when Ma started on a bit of town gossip.
Uh-huh.
And so that's how I heard the news. Alright, now stop burying the lead and tell us. What's this so-called news? Ma giggled as she cast a look across the table, satisfied she had everyone's attention. Well, it turns out that Donalds won't be renting out the condo up the street as per Sunset Bird tradition for the first time in what be nearly 2 decades. Choirs of gas and shocked expressions were had all around. After the initial shock, your eyebrows pinched. Mom may consider them by name, but you and Liz always viewed them exclusively as the mean old couple who would yell at anyone under 25 who crossed their paths. Your mom continued on with the story, spreading strawberry jam over a piece of toast as she did so. They decided not to take the big trips anymore. Friends and family will be visiting them at their homes. Huh. Well, that's nice for them. Have a good summer. Mean grandparents with no grandkids away from us. That's a relief. Be nice, kids. You don't want to end up like them, do you? You and your sister cracked smiles at the joke.
Well?
At least they won't be here to yell at my children anymore.
Lonnie.
And that blunt comment got laughter from all three of you. Engrossed in the conversation once more, you continued to chat with your family until the meal was over.
Full Metal Alchemist.
Step 3, third time's charm.
That.
As it went, once the food was eaten, the cleanup had to be done. Lizzie took the role of washing the dishes and passed them to you for drying and putting away. You had a set of cups in front of you that needed to go to the top shelf of the cabinets. Average height. That was simply your lot in life. You'd always hovered around the expected height for your age. I didn't think about it much. That was a struggle for you because you remembered how you used to feel so content about it when you were younger. Liz shook you out of your internal musing by stirring up an impromptu conversation. She seemed to be voicing the thoughts that had been buzzing around in her own head. I have to say, going back for another semester this fall is pretty intimidating. I think after the first year or two, I'd have a handle on things, but no. You stole a glance at her, still placing cups in the proper place. I guess it's only fair. My first round was pretty general classes, and year one of my architecture major was the basics. Now it feels serious. I have to actually know some things. The laugh she gave was flippantly airy, but the way she scrubbed at the plates held more force than necessary. I think it's really cool you want to be an architect. Don't be too impressed yet. Wait to see if it actually happens, but thanks. Your older sister's mouth quirked into a small smile. You'll be fine, one way or another. Oh, but I'm not trying to scare you away from college. That's even your plan. What is going on with that anyway? Yeah, I kind of had a general idea. You answered the question as much as you were able and willing to. Liz's smile grew more reassuringly as you did. You made it through 12 years of full-time education already. You got plenty going for you. Sometimes it's still far hard to believe your public schooling experience was over, in the end. Been an average graduate. Wish you could have done better. Even though there wasn't anything necessarily bad, you couldn't help but feel disappointed it wasn't especially good either. Liz picked up on the silence in her question, and Lizzie picked up on the silence in her question and ended up creating. She decided it was time to make a closing statement on the topic.
You're a good girl.
You're a good girl, Susan. Do what's best for you, and we'll be here to back it up. Thanks. Thanks, Liz. At that, Liz happily passed the final dish your way. She waved a soapy-soaked hand as a farewell and moved on to the next task for the cleanup job. You refocused on getting the last pieces, but put back where they belonged. You eventually moved on to a new chore, but that was interrupted by the sound of your cell phone. Beloved songs. You casually picked up from the table where you placed it earlier. The phone was a couple years old at this point, having been a 16th birthday gift from your parents. They decided which model to get, but you got to pick the color. It was purple. And it had a special charm attached to it, which was the dolphin keychain Cove bought you when you were a kid.
That's cool.
You were pleased when you finally had a prominent place to use the gift. I'm gonna save just in case we crash again.
Yep.
The screen lit up as you gave the little device a swipe with one finger. You were informed by the caller ID that it was Lee. You weren't surprised. Despite having busier and busier lives and not living in the same town, you still had a good relationship with your cousin of the same age. Especially once the miracle of both of you having your own phones actually happened. She got hers first, though. Tapping at the accept button, you answered her call. A familiar bubbly voice came through right after.
Hi.
Hey, Susan! Hiya. I trust I'm not interrupting anything major? Only some cleaning around the house. Oh, and you're welcome to my call. Distraction must have been desperately needed. Yes, thank you, my dear cousins.
My pleasure.
She giggled and you couldn't help hear the jangling of jewelry she must be wearing. Oh, nothing amazing is happening for me either. I'm bored and I feel like chatting. My morning shift ended, so I'm free for the rest of the day. Woo! That's good. You were off from your part-time job today. Like you, Lee had started dipping her toes into the workforce as of late. It made keeping in touch frequently even more complicated, but you both managed. What about you? It's been pretty normal.
Cool.
Cool. That's you then. So, how is Mr. Copeholden doing? There was a teasing vent to her tone. She was never willing to let up on what was going on between the two of you. But that name was incredibly familiar to your ears. Cove, your next-door neighbor from the past decade at this point. But he was far more than just someone who lived on the same street. You vividly remember the summer day you expressed feelings for each other as little 13-year-olds. You only got together officially recently. You were in love with him, but that was one thing you hadn't admitted yet. Are you surviving without the boy being 10 feet away at all times, or is everything right with the world again and he's back? No, Lee, he isn't here. Just like he wasn't here yesterday or the last time you asked, or the time before that.
Sorry.
Oh, my bad. Can you blame me? Doesn't seem like he should have made his grand return already. Plus, I'm on a visit soon, and he needs to be there too. You can understand where she was coming from. This was certainly outside the norm. For the past couple months, and the last few weeks especially, Kobe had been going to his mom's place in Nevada. The two of you still regularly stayed in contact over text and calls, but still. Your mind began to drift back in time to all the prior trips he'd taken to visit her. Almost every year, he had to go away for a while and then he'd be back. Made you sad and lonely. Mom shipped care packages. It was always full of really great stuff. He sent you regular letters in return. That's how it was in the past, but lately he has been trying to see her as much as he could before taking long trips to another state became too impractical to do. His part-time work could become full-time soon, or he could be moving someplace else for school. Cove hadn't actually been entirely clear what his plans were after graduation. Cove was hesitant to speak on that, even with you. It couldn't be avoided forever, though. You both knew that.
Well?
Maybe we should switch things up to a non-code-related topic? Sounds like a plan. The rest of the conversation rolled on. Not much longer, though. Lee had to go, and you need to finish your responsibilities around the house. The both of you exchanged goodbyes, and you went back to what you'd been working on before the call came in. As you wrapped up the last of your chores, you were approached by Liz wearing a cheeky smile. I've got Mom's keys. Want to get out of this tiny town and do some shopping in a real city? That sounds great.
Good.
Good. I'm driving. That was obvious. You didn't know how to drive. Go get your wallet and anything else. We're going now. With a nod, you made a quick detour to collect your stuff from your bedroom. You had money saved up from all the part-time work you'd done, as well as from gifts you'd received. After making sure both of you were fully prepared for the long haul to the largest city in the surrounding area, you buckled into the car. It was a smooth ride, with light conversation about what shops to stop at, and the radio blasting. Liz controlled what was playing, but she made sure to pick songs she knew you liked. It was something the two of you always done for each other. The trip there breezed by, and what felt like no time, you had gone from cruising down the road to cruising through the mall. Liz had her intents to check out, and you yours. Hobbies are pretty much the same. With a turning corner down a new length of the mall, your eyes caught on a little gift store. Your friends and family have recently given you many presents for graduating high school. You wanted to get a graduation gift yourself to give to Cove. Graduation may already come and gone, but Cole wasn't really around then anyway. He kept an eye out for something good, though you might have something nice for him at home already. Eventually, the mall was explored in full, with every shop of note being checked over. Rather than going home... is my thing still on? Yeah, okay. Rather than going home, you decided to walk over to some smaller stores nearby. Liz had many thoughts on that topic.
So?
Honestly, malls are not a basin of society. Even if smaller stores require extraditions, the brands are so much more... Then your sister abruptly stopped speaking and walking right in the middle of the path. It was a good thing no one was behind her. She seemed entirely shut off for a moment. Liz? The attempt to catch her attention was unsuccessful. Something else had all her focus. Before you could puzzle out what might be happening, she began to mumble out of the corner of her mouth. Susan, don't draw any attention. Draw attention, but look. What? With a harsh whisper and a subtle jerk of her head, she urged you once more.
Hey!
Look! She followed her gaze as best she could to a large bunch of colorful teens strolling down the same path. Okay. You faced back over to your sister with a confused expression and an unspoken question. And what were you supposed to be seeing there? Susan? Doesn't one of them seem familiar? She was practically bouncing at this point, so you looked to the group over again, and this time you saw what she was seeing. Amongst the collection of strangers was a brown-haired gray eye and lots of freckles. That's Shiloh! Our Shiloh from when we were kids! Yep, that was definitely him. I can't believe it! He's honestly just there? That's hilarious. That's incredible. Oh, but how do we talk to him? You have to pull him away from all those other people, and what if I'm wrong? Your mouth opened to reply, but she cut it off with her own answer to the question. I've got it. I'll shout the name Shiloh, and then we can act like if it wasn't us. If he responds to that, we'll know it's him without a doubt. Doubt it's him. Susan, keep an eye out to see if he looks. Liz, can you just try talking to him normally? Like without hearing what you had to say, Liz put her plan into action. Shiloh! She loudly projected the word across the way and then put on an act of casualness, turning her head away from the steam while brushing the skirt of her dress. In a supremely awkward moment, you could only stand there, and as the attention in the area shifted to the two you thanks to your sister's shout. Of the many startled bystanders who came older to your presence, one of them was the boy. From a distance, his large eyes met yours. He looked. A wide grin took over Liz's face. She pushed the rim of her sun hat up and away from her while swishing back around to greet her old friend directly. Shiloh! Waving, she stepped a bit closer to express her intention to meet without really closing the gap. She wanted him to come to her. Who you presume to be Shiloh looked surprised at the call-out. He stole you a quick glance at the crowd he was with, and hesitantly glanced back at your way. He was trying to double-check something. Lizzie remained steadfast with her gaze trained on him, and ultimately he broke away from the rest of them. After a light foot jog across the brick path, the young man pleasantly presented himself in front of Liz and you.
Hi. Hi, I like... Hi, I like your hat.
Just that simple greeting had Liz giggling.
Hey.
Hello! I'm not sure if you remember this, but I'm Lizzie, and that's Susan. You were all friends when we were little kids. His already wide eyes grew larger, their gaze darting between you and Liz. His previously chipper demeanor faded into something else delicate.
I'm really sorry, but I think you have the wrong person.
You could tell not being instantly recognized was going to make this exchange more of a challenge. Still, Liz was undeterred. It was a long time ago. You were really young. I get why you feel like that. However, I'm positive I'm right. You're exactly the same. That face, the freckles, how generally you try to phrase things, you're even still wearing a hat. Instinctively, he looked up his headwear with a creased brow, not making the connection on why the hat meant something to her.
Okay.
We knew each other, okay? An uneasy smile settled on him as silence followed Liz's speech. He was picking his next words carefully. And then the quiet was obliterated by a new voice bursting into the conversation. It's just a mystery guy, I guess.
Okay. Shiloh, what are you doing? The rest of the group already left. The field trip is not a vacation. We're on a schedule.
Startled, your head snapped towards the path. A distinctly unhappy individual with piercing magenta eyes, dark brown skin, and a sharp jaw stormed your way. You cleared a cloud of authority with him despite looking he wasn't even 18 yet.
Sorry, I didn't mean to ditch.
Shiloh, whose name was now officially confirmed, gestured with the hand to add to the explanation of his absence as the stranger watched impatiently.
They thought they recognized me as someone they knew, but it was a tiny misunderstanding.
Liz theoretically as well as literally put her foot down at that, stopping in frustration and getting more childish as the longer she was around her childhood companion.
Come on.
But we do know you! Shiloh merely shrunk in on himself. The tone he spoke was pained.
Sorry.
You honestly couldn't tell if he was apologizing for the upset feelings of your sister or the playable dissatisfaction of his new acquaintance. That itself was very Shiloh-like.
Oh, you know him. Is that it?
The stranger spoke in a dismissively scoffing tone, as if the words sounded so absurd to him. It was almost amusing. Almost. But the sternness of his demeanor quickly reinstated itself.
Well, you know me. I'll tell you, I'm someone who's been forced against his will to be aware of what's going on. Shiloh's ridiculous personal life. In Shiloh's personal whatever, for a year. If the two of you had any importance in his general day-to-day existence, it would have come up by now. Don't bother trying to exaggerate any trivial connection you might have. It's not good enough. He's with us and you'll survive without him. Just stop loitering in the road. It's rude.
Excuse me?
We're the rude ones? The high-strung ranting got an audible gasp from Shiloh, who finally started to speak up again in defense.
Nate, that's really mean.
It's also true. We're leaving.
With that declaration, the unofficially introduced Nate indigently spun on his heels and walked speedily towards where the group went, completely confident that Shiloh would follow behind.
Oh, people sure have bad attitudes, huh? Why can't they just try to get along? It's not hard. Don't worry, though. I bet you won't have to deal with him again. And I'm sorry, I can't stay to talk to you, but I hope you have a really nice life.
Bye!
Bye.
And that was it. His final parting words given, Shiloh left the two of you behind to catch up with his own life that he had to go live. Liz watched his exit, stunned, only to frown when it hit her that he was really gone as quickly as he appeared. It happened so fast she hadn't even been able to get a word in. She sighed, all the energy she built up releasing with the breath. I could have told him his last name was Fields, his birthday is October 30th. That would have proved it, but no. I'm sorry, Liz. I felt so bad for your big sister. He had been such a close friend in her early years, and their reunion was completely ruined. Do you want to go catch up with him? Lizzie merely shook her head, pushing off her childish thoughts. I think I can leave things here, thanks. He's in the middle of a high school field trip, and it was alright. I ended up being able to see him. There's something reassuring about witnessing firsthand that he's still out there, enjoying his own part of the world. Though, if I give it a chance, I could definitely have a few words with him about the company he's got. She laughed, but you could tell there wasn't much humor to it. She was mad at the guy, even if she was happy to let Shiloh go. Maybe they're only with each other because of the trip, and it's not usually how things are.
Right?
True. We can only hope the same for him as he did for us. Have a nice life, Shiloh. Have a good life. Liz smiled at you. It had the self-confidence you knew so well from her. Come on, little baby sister. Let's finish our own trip. Yeah. No matter how either you really felt about the occurrence, it was something you simply had to accept. People you know just disappear and reappear in the most unexpected ways. The two of you enjoyed what remained of your outing until it was time to return home. By the time you arrived back, the sun was already beginning to set. You arched your back as you stretched your arms towards the ceiling. While it had been a good day, it had enough activity to cover an entire week. Liz tried to hide a yawn behind her hands. You weren't the only one feeling worn out. I'll be heading up to your room, the guest room, since mine stopped being available as soon as I was out the door. Her tone was light. She had quite a lot to say on the subject when he first taken over her bigger room after she left for college, but there have been many trips back home for her since then. The room hasn't been hers for years. It was more of a running joke now that she continued to bring the topic up to this day. Thank you, Liz. It's a really nice room. Hey, don't actually sound appreciative. That's playing dirty. A small laugh was shared between you and your older sister. You better believe you'll be back in the guest room when you got your own place, and we're both in town for a visit. Uh-huh, sure. Your sarcasm won't save you here. I'm taking that as an agreement. She flashed her familiar grin, and you couldn't help but feel glad she was back around, even if it was temporary. With that, she followed off to the spare room. You were ready to do the same. Moving into a new space was your first opportunity to decorate from scratch. Design your room! Yay!
Alright.
So we have all kinds of options to choose from.
Gee, I wonder what you're going to pick.
What?
No, I said,
Gee, I wonder what you're going to pick.
It was actually the layout's different for all these. So we got blue,
oh.
green, purple, and yellow.
Oh, okay.
I'm actually going with yellow, just because computer.
I think this is one of the rare times that you don't pick purple.
Or did I go with green? I don't remember. I think I went with yellow. I think I went with yellow just because of the bigger bed and the computer.
Oh, okay.
Should I go with green? Because green has that nice table.
It does have a nice table, yeah.
And now for extras, we got extra 1, 2. There for books, extra 2. Trophies. Windows. Left. Books. Plants. Books. Right. Animals! Yay! Walls. Left. This one. Back. That one. Lights. Oh, back. And floor. Left. Right. If we wanted. I like the telescope. I don't need a ball though. Of course, you can also change it for all the other rooms too if you feel experimentative. So if you want to make a decision later. So let's go ahead and play around with the rooms and see what we want to go with our final design.
Okay. Keep forgetting that my friggin' Airwick stuff is that loud.
Alright, I think we got all our layouts fixed, so here's our blue option. Here's green. Purple. And yellow.
Alright.
I think I'm gonna go with green. Cause I like how all the sea stuff matches, and we got a space poster there. We got lights. I think it's nice.
It is nice.
Go ahead and save, just in case. There we go. So yeah, it's another fun thing you can do. You decorate your own room. And we're done.
Excellent.
You're really satisfied with the feel of your tiny part of the world. As your thoughts drifted, you tried to bite down another yawn. It was no good. Your bed was now lodged in your mind, and all you could think about was collapsing on it. You trudged up the stairs to your room. Very nice. Stepping inside, you closed the door behind you, blocking the rest of the house. When you turned back around, you realized you were not alone there. Comfortably perched on the windowsill was someone very familiar to you. Cove Holden. Here's our boy.
Hey.
Now, in this part, he's 18, so I guess
Okay.
however you sounded when we first met, I guess.
Which, well, actually, I could just do. I think I have an idea for this one.
Don't go with. Alright, well, let's see what you got.
Well, wait a minute. Like, don't go for what?
I don't know.
Okay.
The shock knocked all the words out of you.
Surprised? Surprised?
His tone was easy and relaxed. It certainly was a surprise. You hadn't expected him to be within the state, never mind your own house. He hadn't answered how he had suddenly appeared back in Sunset Bird, though to be fair, you'd been too astounded to actually ask the question. Thankfully, Cove took the hint from your stunned expression and began to explain.
So...
So, I got in about 15 minutes ago. No one was home, so I figured I'd come in the usual way.
The window. The window. A small smile had formed on his face. You were still staring at him, unable to blink in case he disappeared. You could still barely believe he was really there, merely feet away from you.
I left my bags in your backyard. I hope that's alright.
That was when he truly understood. Cove had come straight to you upon getting back into town. You were his first port of call, taking precedence above all else. Even though you hadn't been in when he called, Cove ensured that he'd seen you at the earliest opportunity rather than allowing his plans to change. You ran to Cove. Every second away from him was a moment too long. As you approached, Cove quickly hopped from the windowsill to meet you. I missed you. You jumped into his arms. You reached out towards him in emotion, your attentions clear. Cove opened up his stance in preparation. Once close enough, you leaped into his chest and wrapped your arms around his neck. With a small stumble back, he caught you and held on, tucking his arms over your lower back. Then Cove leaned back on his heels, pulling you into the air. He leaned as much as he could to lift you up, the high difference helping him out. You let out a small noise as your feet kicked in empty air, grinning affectionately. Cove set you back down.
I missed you too.
You know he hadn't said it outright. You would have gotten the message from his body language. Cove was grinning wildly, his raised cheeks burying his eyes, which gleamed like hidden gems. But he looked at you as if you were the most exciting treasure of all. How was the trip? Cove's brow creased as he considered your question. He leaned in and kissed you.
Aw.
After a long enough moment, he broke the kiss and tilted his face back just enough to speak. But not so much that your forehead stopped touching.
I hated it. Let's never be apart again, okay?
Maybe up the pitch just a tiny, tiny bit.
Okay.
Because
I
there
hated
is
it.
like
Huh?
another part that he's going to be a bit older, so
Oh, okay. I hated it. Let's never be apart again, okay?
that's better.
Okay.
He said that absolutely as a joke, as an exaggeration, something that wasn't a real request, of course, and yet despite all that, it felt real. Your heart hammered in your chest, your head swam, casting adrift on a tide of thoughts and adrenaline. Cole smiled as if offering a silent apology for a sudden onslaught of tenderness, but he let the words proudly hang in the air all the same. Cole told you about how his trip back had gone, soon you even recovered enough to actually listen. His mom was doing really well. She had a project in the works that she was thrilled about. As a result, Cole was going to be sticking around in Sunset Bird for the time being. Things were settled as much as they could ever be. With Cole back once more, you felt at ease. Yeah. I'm sorry, it looked like... Was I leaning on my thing? I hope not. I wanted to catch my tracking.
Oh, okay.
So far no lag, so I'm doing okay. Cole stretched his arms out over his head, his eyes in the window at the world beyond. The sun had set while you were busy reuniting.
Well,
I should probably get my stuff and see Dad.
He glanced over at you with a familiar, expectant look.
Wanna come with me?
You know I do.
cool.
Cool.
Cole began to head to your bedroom door. Piggyback ride. Cove? He paused, turning to face you. I'm not planning on walking there. Cove shook his head, a smile on his face implying that it was you and your sense he was questioning, not the request. He'd come to expect the latter, even if he didn't get why it held such an appeal for you.
Alright.
Okay.
He crouched down low enough for you to hop onto his back. Cope was so tall that getting on his back for rides has taken some trial and error over the years, with a few mishaps and bumps along the way. Eventually, he figured out exactly how far he needed to bend down. His understanding and your extensive practice made it easy for you to climb aboard the Cove Express now. Cove straightened up with poise, accustomed to balancing someone over his shoulders. Cove carried you down the stairs. You had to duck down a couple of times, the ceiling grazing against your elevated head. Still, you safely reached the ground floor of your house.
The door's gonna be in the way. Get off here so I can open it up.
He bowed down to let you slide safely off his back. Seeing things from your usual height was disorienting after getting accustomed to looking down at everything. In all the excitement of Cole's return, you hadn't even remembered the gift you prepared for him when he got back. We best to give it to him now before you left your house. Can you wait here a little while? I got something for you. Cole's eyes widened as he tried to conceal a smile. He toyed with the collar of his top.
Really?
Really? I mean, you didn't have to do that.
He nodded with some eagerness, trying to imagine how he'd react when he actually saw it. I'm gonna save here because there is supposed to be a special option actually in the future. Because there is a possible option you can actually, you know, ask Cove for marriage in this chapter if you do the steps right. But we're not gonna worry about that now because that's what step 4 is for.
Of course.
It was. New fish. You headed back to your room, grateful that Cove hadn't spotted your present before now. The little container was the temporary home for this new fish that was waiting there for you just as you left it. Very carefully, you cradled it in your arms to make the journey downstairs. You slowly ascended the stairs, adjusting your grasp when you first reached the ground floor so you could hold it out for Cove to admire. Cove gasped, placing a hand over his mouth and bent down to watch the fish more closely. You could see his expression through the clear container, his eyes wide and adoring. He let Cove take his time admiring the fish in silence. A few moments later, after he'd taken his fill, he looked up at you with a joyful grin.
Wow.
She'll fit in perfectly with my tank. She looks great.
He took the container from you, securing the base first and cautiously lifting it from your hands before resting it beside him on the counter. He brushed his fingers lightly against the top of the container, the closest he could get to petting his new companion, then turned back to you. Cove turned to look at the fish. You thought he was just admiring her again, but as the moment stretched on, you wondered if it was something more. Though his face was angled away from you, you caught his eyelashes fluttering as if he was batting away tears. His throat bobbed as he swallowed bubbling emotions. He knew that Cove could be sentimental. The gift and all the memories and feelings tied up in it seemed to have taken a toll on him. When he began to sniffle, he felt the need to reach out. Cove?
Susan.
I can't. You just... Susan, I don't know what to do.
He forcefully scrubbed at his eyes like he was trying to push the tears that threatened to spill back in. Oh, Cove, it's okay. Do you need to cry?
No.
Nevertheless, the tear had begun to spill down his cheeks, even as he wiped away. More of them took them away, more took their place.
Thank you.
His voice quavered as he spoke. Cove reached out. Eli stepped forward to meet him. He laid his warm hands against your cheeks and brought his lips to you. The kiss was as quick as it was light, like a butterfly fluttering against you before skittering away. But it couldn't have been any sweeter. You're welcome. Cove let out a steady breath. The water moved from the shaky gasp that had accompanied his sniffles. The tears had dried. His eyes were a little red, but open and at peace once again. He smiled, fully recovered from the emotion that had overcome him.
You're really, seriously, too nice to me.
He smiled back. I don't think there's such a thing as too nice when it comes to you. Cove brushed his hand against the pale ghost of a scar on his arm. He was at a loss for what to do now. The clock ticked away, counting the seconds of silence. Once you had a chance to settle your thoughts, you figured you'd tell Cove the intriguing news. Oh, I meant to tell you earlier. I saw Shiloh today.
Huh?
Emma?
Cove repeated the name, his expression blank. From when we were kids. Cove pondered for a moment, then snapped his fingers.
Oh, he was the freckly guy from the first summer. Right, the one who moved.
I met a guy named Shiloh. He looked just like the Shiloh we knew, plus however many years. But he didn't remember me and just left. Cole frowned.
That's, I don't know. Too bad I missed it, though you knew him better than I did.
That was definitely true. Not only had Cove known Shiloh for a shorter period of time, but he and Shiloh had never quite gotten along. Not that they were enemies, either just kids who were only ever together because of the other people they both knew.
I wonder what Shiloh's up to these days.
I don't have any idea. He didn't say much.
Oh,
Oh well.
How's the chat, by the way?
Pretty quiet so far, I'd say.
Okay. That was everything you had on the news item, so you moved on to the next big update. Also, you know the mean old neighbors? The ones who always yelled at us? He cringed, recalling those particular memories that back in the day was not pleasant even for someone as nostalgic as him.
Yeah, I do remember that.
They're not coming. They didn't rent the condo this summer. Cove's jaw dropped. He didn't blame him. The elderly couple had been an institution for as far back as you can remember, long predating Cove's arrival. Even now, as a teenager, you found your neck prickling as you walked by their condo, half expecting for a scolding for breathing the wrong way in the vicinity of their vacation home. It was strange to think of that coming to an end.
Wow.
Cove blinked, clearly struggling with the idea in the same way you had.
I didn't see that coming. People being gone, people coming back. Feels like I've missed a lot. This has been a busy summer already.
Well, you haven't missed the fireflies. They haven't shown up yet.
Well, that's something, and we'd better not get left behind. There's still stuff to do.
He nodded. As soon as you left your house, Cove bent down to let you climb onto his back for the last part of the journey. It seemed that no sooner had the night begun than it was already an end, and the dawn of a new day was soon upon you. The next morning, your belly was full of breakfast, and you were in a pleasant mood. You hoped the rest of the day follow suit. Just another save again. Later, you were meeting up with your friends Cove, Miranda, and Terry to go into town. It was all on short notice, but that was because everyone was just so excited that Cove was finally back home. Having a nice daydream? You blinked, pushing all your thoughts away and returning to reality. Your mom was watching you with a teasing smile.
Alright.
So, what's on the agenda today? I'm meeting up with some people. Well, I hope you and your friends have fun. Don't get into too much trouble. She winked at you. You both knew both of your moms wanted you to enjoy every bit of this summer before all the big changes started. I'll try.
That'd be great.
But before you go gallivanting around town, could you bring the mail in? I'm finishing up putting the dishes away over here. Alright. Thanks very much. As soon as you were outside your front door, you couldn't help but see Cove and his dad standing in the road. They noticed you too.
hey.
Hey there, Susan.
Hi. Good timing. You should come join us.
You hugged him. Cove took you into his arms and held you tightly until you were ready to let go. His eyes shone brightly at you, setting your heart aflutter. His cheek flushed as you could tell he was a bundle of nerves. You were tempted to hug him again. You noticed Mr. Holden was taking in the scene of you and Cove with a self-satisfied smile. Cove followed your line of shine and shot his dad an unimpressed look. For a moment, Mr. Holden seemed like he had a thought dancing on the tip of his tongue, but he decided to keep it to himself.
So,
What are you up to today?
As far as I know, nothing too much. Me and Cove are meeting some friends in town later.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Yawning, Mr. Holden stretched his arms over his head.
My boy and I have just been waiting around to see what the new neighbors are like.
It was definitely his idea.
I don't know how you're not interested in this. It's big news. Besides, it'd only be polite to greet the new folks in town.
Well, anyone has to be better than the last tenants.
I don't know.
I don't know. That house could be cursed, and we could keep getting ones that are progressively worse.
He cracked a cheeky grin at his own joke. You could tell Mr. Holden was looking at the empty house, thinking about the nightmare that was the last tenants. He chuckled, turning to Cove.
But that would be horrible. Knock on wood.
Mr. Holden took one more glance at the currently vacant building and sighed dramatically. When he turned back to you and Cove, his whole body seemed deflated.
There's no sign of them, and I still need to head over to work soon. Oh, man.
Cove gave his dad a few reassuring pats on the back.
Okay, I promise to keep an eye out. I can text you if anything happens.
Really?
Of course.
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, only till after we meet with Terry and Miranda. Would that still work?
With a wide grin breaking out on his face, Mr. Holden looked absolutely thrilled to have his noiseness enabled.
That works.
Nosiness, there we go. He moved to firmly place both hands over Cove's shoulders, facing his child with a firm stare.
Son, you are my true ally in this world.
Mr. Holden stood up straighter, letting Cove go. He looked reinvigorated.
Okay, with that settled, I'll go make some money. That's always been the one thing I do best.
Mr. Holden headed off to the garage with a big wave goodbye. Cove smiled the whole time you both watched his dad leave. He was one of your favorite people. He always tried his best and was honestly just great. As soon as he was out of sight, Cove sighed lightly. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, just not looking forward to waiting. Guess I'll be hanging out around the street for a while.
I'll stick around. Oh, wait. I can wait with you. You wouldn't abandon Cove. You wouldn't abandon Cove there to wither on the road out of boredom.
Really? I thought you had mail to get.
Of course, I like keeping you company, remember? He stared at you a moment, smiling softly and thinking about his response.
Me too.
I like that too.
Cove put his hands on your shoulders. His thumbs absentmindedly moved in soothing circles. The look in his eyes was much firmer. He was serious.
Susan, you're my true ally in this.
That got a fair amount of chuckles from you. He grinned the
stoicism.
thanks.
No problem.
Stoicism feeding into amusement.
Thank you.
You're always good to me.
You're lucky to have me. Teasingly, Cove raised an eyebrow. You're the most lucky guy in all of Sunset Bird. Luckiest! For a moment, you weren't sure if Cove was laughing at your declaration or that you momentarily forgot the word luckiest. Either way, you didn't mind. The smile on his face reached his eyes and it made you feel electric. And then he let you go. Cole stepped over to his front porch steps, lazily taking a seat and leaning back on his arms.
The watch begins.
Nodding in agreement, you joined Cove on the front porch steps. You both sat there in comfortable familiarity as you settled in for the waiting game on the new tenants. The neighborhood was quiet as you sighed contentedly, closing your eyes and feeling the light breeze. The only sound you could ever hear was the familiar jingle of Cove's wind chime. After all the years, it was still there, during the entrance outcropping of his house. Eventually, you both perked up at the sound of a car. A taxi followed the noise, turning onto your street. Cove's eyebrow raised at the sight, and he sat up straight on the stoop.
Oh?
This has to be them, right?
Yeah, it's gotta be. Now that they were here, you couldn't help but feel just a bit curious. You wondered what kind of person would be living in the neighborhood for the summer. The taxi pulled to a stop as you expected in front of the now empty condo. It was on the same side of the street as your house, a few buildings further up. Without getting to his feet, Cove tried leaning against the tiling leaning and tilting his head to get a view of the passenger doors that opened. A single occupant exited the cab.
Huh? Wouldn't it be silly if it was someone like Jeremy?
You could feel what Cove was in the moment. After the last runners, this new visitor was definitely not exactly who you expected. Whoa.
Oh, okay.
It was a young man, had to be close to your own age. He was dressed fully in an eclectic black, white, and gray outfit. Even his side-sweeping hair matched the scheme. The only other pop of color was from something that couldn't easily be flashed into submission. A pair of dark brown eyes, which you caught when he looked over at his audience.
Hello, folks. Who might you be?
We're
the neighbors.
The smile already prompted on his face curled even further. It was cocky, but you didn't get the impression that it meant something aversive.
Hallelujah.
You and Cove shared a familiar look with one another, bewildered even further. The color-coordinated man left it there, however, and with a firm chuckle, he shut the door of his ride. Then he turned his back to retrieve a large, unsurprisingly black suitcase out of the trunk. Continuing on with his own business, he strolled forward and lightly tapped on the driver's side window with his knuckles, asking them to roll it down. When it opened, he leaned down and rested his arm on the edge. You assumed he was thanking the driver for getting there, considering he slipped him a tip during the brief chat. They shook hands, then he pushed himself up and away from the taxi with both arms, giving the driver room to leave. The taxi pulled away, rolling carefully down the road and outside around a corner. The new renter had officially arrived. He left his suitcase on the ground out of the way of the street and sauntered over to his way with confidence of someone who had been invited to join. Cole finally stood up to greet this person. You followed suit.
Excellent.
I'm Dexter Ward. It's excellent to meet your neighbors.
Maybe cut the accent. But keep the smooth tone, though.
I'm Baxter Ward. It's excellent to meet your neighbors.
That's better.
Okay.
You were standing on the side he was approaching from. When Baxter got close enough, he offered his hand to you first. He shook it. Baxter gripped your hand firmly to give a satisfying shake. Hi, Baxter. I'm Susan.
Hey, Susan. I'm quite keen on getting to know you better this summer. We could be good friends.
From your other side, Cove made a sudden sputtering noise.
And you are?
He lifted his hand out to Cove next. Cove shook his hand, still eyeing Baxter carefully.
I'm Cove.
Baxter told the mirror lit up for unknown reason. His eyes shone as he studied Cove a moment.
Really?
Now wait, is that a nickname or your real name?
It's just my name.
Cole spoke mildly, having given that explanation many times in the past, but it clearly charmed Baxter all the same. He tossed his head to one side with a laugh.
Your parents knew exactly what they were doing. I can't imagine a more fitting name for the face I'm seeing. Cove, that's gorgeous.
What?
It's really not.
No, I agree. It suits you.
Not bad.
Nice to see someone else knows. The impact might have faded for you, living with it this long, but I promise to the onlooker, it's a knockout.
Cole couldn't face either of you after that. His cheeks were quickly turning bright red with embarrassment. You noticed that Baxter looked apologetic over Cove's increased discomfort.
I'm sorry. It wasn't intended to mean more than it did. I like your name, but you don't have to mind that. I'm patiently against stepping on anyone's toes.
He chuckled to himself. It seemed like there was some extra meaning hidden there in his words, and you noticed that Cove raised an eyebrow, picking up on that too.
I'm patient. Okay, sorry, great.
Like, my mouse wheel. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Oh wait,
Oh,
that's me.
yeah.
Baxter didn't even open his eyes to see your faces, to know he had some fixed filling to do. He stood up straighter, striking a slight pose with the position on his feet.
I'm a ballroom dancer, hence phrasing.
Oh, I didn't know much about dancing, but that's pretty cool.
It's not hard once you get the basics down.
Cove didn't look convinced at all. Baxter took that as a cue to keep talking.
Well,
Well,
He grinned in a way that was rapidly becoming familiar to you.
if either of you are ever looking for a partner, I'm available.
Cove peeked at you, smiling softly. You felt his familiar touch as he squeezed your hand for a moment.
I already have a partner. Susan is the only one I'd want to dance with. Sorry, she's my girlfriend.
You're both together?
Yeah, we are.
Now that's crushing, but makes sense. I got here too late. Should have taken a semester off sooner.
I get it.
That's a joke. Really, I didn't mean to intrude on anything you have with the offer.
Exactly, Cove is the guy I dance with. Baxter smiled and nodded understandingly, letting the subject go. After that, there was a lull in the conversation, and Cove attempted to fill it.
So,
What made you decide on Sunset Bird?
Oh, yes. Well, my parents rented a condo, so I had a place to stay while I'm off for a semester from college, and not living in the dorm.
There was a playful glint in Baxter's eyes as he continued.
Honestly,
Ideally, they wanted to send me somewhere that wasn't too exciting, but lucky for me, they picked the wrong street, considering the two of you live here.
Baxter then preemptively lifted his hands from in front of his chest, giving the gesture for meaning no harm.
It's nice not to be the only one my age around the neighborhood for an entire summer. Nothing more.
That was a story you had heard before, the same one as when Lonely Cove and his dad moved in all those years ago. Cove wasn't relating, still.
You could have phrased it like that in the first place.
Hmm.
I don't feel the need to keep words of praise to myself, but they're not romantic commands. I see that you two are very much a committed pair. I'd like to be friends if we can. That's all. It's okay.
Doesn't bother me.
Glad we're working things out.
Shifting his weight to his other foot, Baxter tried to move forward.
So,
So, which condo is yours? How long have you been living together? Oh, no.
Cove spluttered again and unintentionally a laugh escaped you.
That's...
We're both your neighbors, but we live in different houses with our parents.
As if second nature, the two of you pointed to your homes, the buildings directly across the street from each other. Baxter's eyebrow raised at that.
Your neighbors who started dating. What a couple of lovebirds. You're the backbone of romantic society. Honestly, I hope you never break up. If you can make it work, there might be a chance for the rest of us.
You knew Cove well enough to tell that there was a little bit of amusement in his expression, but he sighed in exasperation. After that, you had no doubts about his claims of being complimentary. You were really starting to get a kick out of it.
Well, if either of you are free, I'd be thrilled to hang out this. But we can save the schedule talk for later. I should get my things inside.
He gave a small nod of the head and flashed you both a dazzling smile.
goodbye.
Goodbye for today. Bye.
Cove gave a small wave as well. Hi, Baxter. See you. Baxter then turned on his heels and strolled back to his suitcase, picking it up and bringing it to his condo. You and Cove were silent as Baxter unlocked the door and disappeared inside the house. With him completely out of the scene, Cove let out a long breath.
well...
I don't know how I'm gonna explain that guy to my dad.
I was playing a save just in case.
Oh yeah, no problem.
You burst into a fit of laughter, trying to imagine the conversation.
Well, at least the job is done. We saw the new neighbor, and now we can go meet up with Terry and Miranda.
Yeah, we should get going.
What about your mail?
You gave Baxter's condo one last glance over your shoulder. You're looking forward to seeing more of him. Baxter was different, but you liked him. Smiling, you hoped that he would become a good friend this summer. Turning your attention back to Kobe, pushed all your thoughts of Baxter aside. You both started making your way towards town. Took his hand. You slid your palm into his, and Cove laced his fingers with yours. His expression instantly became happier, and he lightly squeezed your hand. A little while later, you and Cove reached a main street in town. All of a sudden, you stopped walking.
What's wrong?
I think I heard my phone. You dug your cell phone out and looked at it with a satisfied grin. There was a new message. Before you could read it, you were distracted by a small, unamused noise from Cove. His head was slightly tilted to the side as he carefully looked at your old keychain.
I can't believe you still have that.
Of course they do. I love it. You meant it. The intensity of your words had Cove blushing and looking away from you. For a moment, you were both at a loss for more words. You were sucked into remembering that day he bought it for you. Cove was the only one who spoke up again.
It's nice.
I'm actually glad you like it.
He looked back at you with a playful grin.
Especially since it cost me a whole $6. That's like $30 in kid money.
His matter-of-fact tone had you laughing deep. It took several moments to compose yourself enough to speak. I didn't realize that that was the going rate.
It was then. Probably be more now.
So you're trying to say that you were a big spender?
In kid money, yeah. I was definitely a high roller, remember?
It had you both bursting into fits. Smiling, you refocused on the task at hand. You opened a new text from Miranda and all you saw was, I can see you. Immediately from where you stood, you started swiveling your head around. You couldn't spot Miranda anywhere, but she did send you more messages. I saw you holding Cole's hand. Scandalous. Haha, come on. Message was sent, you were back to looking around, scanning for any sign of movement and familiar faces, but they were still invisible. Cove looked at you carefully, raising an eyebrow. You ran on to Cove again, wanting to show Miranda how scandalous he could be. At once, you hooked your arms around his neck, still holding your phone, and brought him even close to you. He blinked, he blushed and gave you a look mixed with amusement and confusion.
Seriously, Susan, what did that message even say?
Before you could even begin explaining anything to Cove, you both snapped your attention to the yelling from across the street. And there you saw Miranda and Terry coming out from behind the backside of the wall of the grocery store. They both started waving wildly to draw even more attention to themselves.
Oh.
With their grand entrance made, Cove became even more embarrassed about the position you were in and gently removed your hands from him. Cole took a step in their direction. Grinning, he put his hand around his mouth to better project his message across the street.
Hey.
Laughing in arm in arm, the girls stopped only to look both ways, then rushed across the empty street.
Hi.
Hi, I hope you weren't waiting too long.
Hey, buddies.
Hi.
Hi.
She's messaging me.
You both were happy to see your friends. Their little tease on you was already long forgotten in your minds. Terry then closed the distance between her and Cove and crushed him into a painfully tight hug. You're finally here! It's been so long! What took you? He did his best to eke out a reply with his chest being compressed.
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Eventually she let him go. Terry looked at him with a beaming smile, but Cole was distracted, rubbing his arms. Standing there, Miranda shifted her weight to her with her other hip. She watched Cole patiently with a bashful smile. Welcome back.
Thanks.
It finally felt official. Everyone was together in one place. From here, you weren't sure how often you'd have another afternoon like this again. They didn't either.
So?
Cove? Terry poked Cove square in the chest. You're gonna have to give me your schedule by this time yesterday.
No way.
Not really possible, Terry. But I can say as soon as I know. So far, work hasn't said anything, but I can tell you I'm busy with Orca activities.
When Cove wasn't at his part-time job or pursuing his athletic and academic interests, he volunteered for the Ocean Restoration California affiliation, ORCA. The group focused on cleaning up beaches and removing pollution from the ocean. Cove always loved the sea. It didn't surprise you one bit when he started getting involved with them. He joined ARC after learning of it. Their big smash event for the year is coming up, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, there's not that much to do before then, but I'm kind of looking forward to their fundraising push.
Hopefully we can pull it off. If anyone can, it's you two. And even if it goes really bad, it'll still look good on a college application at least.
That is true, yeah.
Hey.
Hey, guess what else? You don't have to stand here and say stuff. Let's go. I would like a meal now. Perking up, Cope nodded in agreement. Yeah, for sure. Before you headed into town, happily chatting the whole way, the only decision left to make was where exactly to stop and eat. The rest of the afternoon and evening passed in the blink of an eye. When night fell, it was time to head home, and he parted ways with Miranda and Terry. You and Cope reached your neighborhood without event. It was late enough that your out-of-the-way street was dark and silent. Piggyback ride.
Yeah.
It was a long day out and about. You appreciate that you could rely on him to make things more comfortable for you. You tightened your grip on Cove and turned your head over so slightly, peering at his face out of the corner of your eyes. You wonder why he felt so distant to you. It was out of character. For a while, Cove silently stared ahead and left you alone with your own thoughts. You're surprised when you did hear his voice all of a sudden, and he still wouldn't look at you.
It feels weird coming back to the neighborhood and trying to get into things like they're the same. And they're not. They've changed. They're still changing.
Your mouth felt uncomfortably dry all of a sudden. It was true. The things that kept the people you knew together were starting to disappear. Each person had to make their own priorities and their own path now. It wasn't set for them. You thought about your own intimate future. You've been considering more and more, and ideas were starting to settle in your mind. You hoped, to work full-time. That was the basics. For your career, you thought you'd, want to work online, honestly. Or find a company to work at. That was all. And for that, you wanted to, well... You can see you can do all kinds of things. Want to be local. It'd all be happening so soon. You already applied to jobs. Spoken a bit about like family. Now you wonder what Cove had in mind. You heard him consider some things for his future, but it was never really anything you could have counted as a real plan. Cove stopped in the middle of the street. He decided to put you down. You were both outside of your houses. Cove looked at the ground for a moment. His mouth trembled, trying to settle on the right words to say.
So, are you still thinking about working and stuff in Sunset Bird?
Yeah. Cove closed his eyes and nodded while he composed his thoughts. He looked at you with his when he lifted his head.
I mean...
I decided on something. Well, kind of.
He smiled slightly and rubbed his arm, and then his expression grew more serious.
I'm not gonna decide on a school or career. Not this summer. I'm gonna stay here. At least in Sunset Bird. I'll probably move out of my dad's. I'll keep working my job. Keep doing my volunteer stuff and everything else.
I don't know.
Maybe I'll know what I want for myself in the fall, or next year, or maybe I'll never have it, and life will continue on with whatever's happening. I'm not gonna crush myself trying to have everything figured out by a timeline that someone else has set. I just can't do it.
His brow furrowed and his tone was tense. It was clear how much expectations were weighing on him.
I guess.
I guess it'll be me and you right here for a while longer.
His eyes were glossy. You weren't going to be separated, and that meant a very great deal to him. You were glad the two of you being Sunset Bird together. Elated, you smiled. Cole looked relieved at how happy you were with this turn of events.
I'll see you tomorrow, Susan.
I'll see you. Night. He pulled you to an unexpected hug. It knocked the breath out of you, yet couldn't have been a more reassuring feeling. You returned his embrace and stayed that way for as long as you could.
Good night.
Good night.
He finally let go, after giving you another smile. Then Cove started walking away, but you remained there, frozen in the middle of the street. You watched him and wondered, how many more times will he be able to say that he'll see you tomorrow? You hoped for countless more times. Finally, you turned toward your own house. You vowed to yourself that you would make the most out of every moment you had this summer.
Oh, wow.
Right?
That prologue was nearly 90 minutes. Jeez.
Yeah.
Jeez.
As you can see, we got all kinds of cool moments now.
Yep.
Huh. How are you feeling, though?
I'm feeling okay, but since you did a majority of the dialogue, what about you?
Well, they're only about an hour and a half in, so I'm doing okay. Should probably get a drink, though.
Sounds good.
What do you think of our boy now that he's grown?
Interesting.
Yeah. I wonder what's gonna happen now.
Indeed.
So let's go with the first one. Hang. You grabbed the large beach towel from off your bed and stuffed it into a bag. You'd already packed your water bottle for the upcoming beach hangout session. Hang on. Is my tracking okay? Yeah, okay. Just making sure. Gonna reload my chat here, just in case.
Okay.
No, there was nothing, so. The stars had aligned and somehow everyone was free today. Miranda had set things up with several bubbly phone calls between you, Cove, and Terry to find a time to hit the beach. You were hoping this would be a fun time together. Cove sat on your windowsill and kicked one of his legs into the air idly. He already had his swimsuit on and his towel was bundled up under his arm in a misshapen ball. He showed up earlier in the morning with a surprising amount of enthusiasm. He was chatting as she caught up to his preparation.
But seriously, I couldn't find my swimsuit this morning. I looked everywhere, and it disappeared. I had no idea what I was gonna do.
Hmm. What happened to all your other swimsuits? I know that's not your only one. Cole looked away and shrugged.
I might have some laundry to do. Anyways, I don't know why it was in the bathroom and I never put it there.
He gave a small smile and readjusted the towel in his arms. You now could see that it had been folded at some point, but then rolled up and carried without much care.
I'm so glad.
But I'm just glad I found it. It would have been crappy to lose my favorite trunks.
It was nice to see Cove so happy and comfortable in what he was wearing. You walked over to your dresser and mused about how you picked out your own swimsuit. Luckily, since you were average height, you only needed to worry about finding the right size. When it came to the shape of your body, you were chubby. And your body was soft. There's a smooth feel to your build without any hard, muscly, even if you flexed. You kept mostly the same shape you had bought throughout your teenage years. You were used to your body, and your body was used to your habits.
Are you okay?
You alright?
Oh, yeah, I was thinking about some things.
What things?
Just myself and my body, really. His eyebrow raised at your admission on self-reflection.
And what do you think?
What did you think of who you were? You considered your identity further. You always felt sure. This is where they get, like, nice with the genders. You felt sure about your gender. Being called her was right for you, and you were well endowed. Your boobs were a large part of your frame.
Sorry, just the phrasing. Like, what
I
the
know.
heck, Dane?
Yeah.
Okay.
You like the size. People had a lot of their identity wrapped up in their physical form. It shaped their self-image. I wasn't you were comfortable. Your body was you, and it was a good one that you felt content in. You had pretty much always felt good in your body. It was that way, though, through your main growing years, and now that you were an adult, you didn't see that changing anytime soon. He focused on Cove again. He smiled at you and tilted his head, a question still in his eyes. He was waiting for you to come to an answer, but before you could, you had something to say to him. What do you think about me? About how I look, I mean. Cole smirked a little, his eyes taking you in easily.
Fishing for compliments, Susan? You look great. Everyone knows that. Including you, by the way. Unless that's changed.
You blushed. You felt your cheeks heat up and look away. Cove shook his head. His hand went up to try and unsubtly cover his smile.
I was kind of worried you were so in your own head because something was wrong. Guess not. I'm glad.
Hey!
Hey, Susan.
Cove gave a bent smile, pointing to your arms.
You're looking particularly shapely today. What is this dialogue? It's...
He answered not with words, but with a solid okay sign with both hands and the same cheeky smile. Cove suddenly flushed when he realized how boldly he complimented you. He stood by it, even if he was a little red. You were a little taken aback. They came out of nowhere. You glanced at yourself. You like that?
Yeah.
You hugged him. You hurriedly across the room and flung your arms around Cove. He chuckled back nervously after you got a squeeze in.
I see you're putting those nice arms to good use.
You cackled at his joke and hugged him tighter. When you both had gotten your giggles out, you let him go. Finally, you felt that was enough of the topic for one day. You went back to your original goal before you got sidetracked. You need to pick what you wanted to wear to the beach. I have a two-piece tahini. That's like a two-piece soup that covers your stomach.
Okay.
While you dug around in your drawers, you tried to think if there was anything else you were missing. Goggles. With that taken care of, you held your outfit together and looked at Cove. He was tapping his toes on the side of the walls as he waited. You vaguely wondered if he thought it was a comfortable place to sit. You hoped so, given how long he perched on it. Regardless, it was time for him to go. You weren't going to put on your beachwear with him, just chilling there. I need to change. Cove smiled, content with being kicked out.
Alright. I'm an eagle! He just flew out.
Cove lowered himself onto the window and strolled past you to get to the door. He lightly brushed his fingers against your cheek when he passed by.
Bye.
I'll see you out front. Pops out. I'm an eagle!
Okay. When you were alone, you got undressed to put your swimwear on. You also checked your beach bag for the final time. It seemed like you hadn't forgotten anything. You left your room and hurried down the stairs, ready to meet Cove. You made sure to lock your front door and walked outside. Cove stood in the roadway, looking down and stuffing his feet on the asphalt. When you shut your heavy door, he looked up at you and smiled. Hey!
Hi, Miranda and Terry are gonna be here in not too long. Terry even texted me earlier saying she was mostly on schedule.
Well,
Why don't we just head to the beach and wait for them there? We're both ready.
That sounded like a good idea to you. You said as much, and Cole shot out a quick text telling to them where you'd be. Cole gave you a thumbs up after the message sent. It was a familiar path to walk, and it wasn't long until you reached the shore. Cole laid out his towel on the warm sand. You set up your stuff beside him and looked out into the ocean. The rolling swells hit the shore rhythmically. You had looked out. It was a beautiful day. The skies were clear and the waves were good. It was a balmy summer day with a pleasant breeze to keep things comfortable. Essentially, it was perfect.
so?
Do you feel like heading into the water? Maybe just walk down the shore? Or would you want to do something here?
Water sounds good. That's what I'm here for, anyway. Cove nodded, accepting the plan. He kicked off some sand off his towel absentmindedly.
Yeah, sounds nice.
You took a deep breath and tasted the relaxing, salty air. Cove caught your eye and gave you a small smile. You chatted a little bit before a comfortable quiet settled over the two of you, content to watch the waves as you waited for the others. Luckily, it didn't take long until you heard shouts. You turned your head to see both Miranda and Terry running straight for you. Miranda was faster, making leaps and bounds across the sand. Terry followed in her wake, lapping with her towel clutched around her shoulders light and flowing like a cape. Miranda started making her jumps more theatric and more precarious as she got closer. Cole waved them on with a bright grin. You waved too. Terry tried to wave with both hands while running, one for you and Cove, but she was distracted and lost her balance, nearly falling, laughing all the while. Two officially arrived at Cove's and your setup, looking completely ready for an ocean adventure. They were already in their swimwear and were raring to go.
Hey Terry, Miranda, welcome to our beach.
Hey!
Hi! Hello, hello! She beamed and Miranda nodded with a smile.
Oh yeah!
Man, I am so pumped. Yeah, I'm really glad we had this worked out. What have you guys been up to over here in your town? Cove? Susan? Have we missed things? Cove blinked and then shrugged when nothing he wanted to mention came to mind. Gave a recap how your family was doing. Your moms were the same as ever for the most part, although they were definitely still adjusting to you being an adult now. Liz had asked you to take pictures of her latest makeup look the other day. There's nothing too dramatic going on right now. Terry nodded and mentioned a couple of things about her own parents. Miranda brought up her family and shared some of the wild things her older brother had done. Terry then started talking about her morning and how she'd almost overslept and she stayed up too late last night. She bounced on her feet as she spoke. But don't worry about being tired today. You know, I ran on less back during school. Miranda filled in the group about her morning. Apparently everything had gone smoothly. She'd met up with Terry on the way here and you knew the rest. Cove offered a suggestion to the girls.
Hey, why don't we take this out to the water?
Okay.
Oh yeah, definitely. You felt pleased that Cove remembered what you wanted to do. Sometimes you could be thoughtful like that. Terry threw her stuff down in the sand and started running for the waves. Miranda was more careful setting down her things and waited for you and Cove. Cove tilted his shoulder to gesture over to the ocean.
Alright.
Okay, just a second. My voice actor is changing their icon on this thing called Discord, I think. Give them a second. It's just being weird at the moment. Okay. Oh, mine. Okay, this thing's being... I'll worry about it later. I've been looking forward to this.
The three of you made your way down to the shoreline together. Miranda cartwheeled and Terry clapped. Soon all four of you were in the water. Cole swam out the furthest while Terry decided to splash by it. There was rarely a quiet moment where someone wasn't laughing. Hours passed and the group had moved between different activities, some low-key and some more exhaustive. For you, it was another break time. You sat on your towel and sipped at some water. Your friends were hard at work burying Terry's full body under a pile. Miranda used her arms to force up sand around Terry's sides. Cove worked on covering Terry's feet. You took another drink and closed your eyes. Eventually, a shadow passed over you, dampening the light that was still notable even behind your eyelids. You checked to see Cove had joined you there. He knelt down and dug around in the pile of assorted beach stuff in the middle of everyone's towel setup and pulled out the sunscreen. He took a seat next to you on his towel. He opened the bottle with a soft pop and began to reapply the cream.
Hey.
Hey. He ran his hands across his chest to work the sunscreen in. You might have checked him out a little from the corner of your eye while still sipping some water. He noticed you noticing him, and Cove tilted his head the way as the smile formed.
You could help if you want. As in, like, I can't really get everywhere on my back with this, so if you do it, that'd be nice. Is that alright?
Yeah, I can do that for sure.
Thanks.
You scooched up behind your boyfriend and reached out a hand around his front so he could squeeze a small pile of sunscreen onto your hand. You rubbed your palms together, spreading the cream out more evenly, then began applying it softly to his shoulder blades. From there, he moved down to the top of his shoulders, the nape of his neck, and down his spine. Cole was mumbling the entire time, but you couldn't make out what he said. He might have even realized that he was doing it himself. The tone of his voice and the look on his face got the message across fine, however. He was happy. You were too. After he and you finished up, Cole let out a comfortable sigh and looked off into the distance. But then he sighed again, this time in an exaggeratedly disappointed way. You wondered if he was going to sigh again, even more dramatically, if he didn't say anything. What's wrong? You inspected his face to see if there was anything actually distressed about him, but he just still looked the way he was exaggerating. You just asked anyway, since it was obvious that that's what he wanted. Cove shook his head, comically despondent.
Comically despondent.
Thanks. He frowned and matched the sparkle in his eyes.
Don't worry about it.
I'm just becoming another jaded adult, that's all.
Now you were really confused. You waited for him to continue, and his next sigh did not disappoint. It was the most ridiculously sad sigh you'd ever heard. Then he smiled a little.
Mermaids aren't real.
What? That had not been what you were expecting. He continued.
You know how much I liked mermaids as a kid? Well, merfolk as a whole. I really hoped that they were out there.
I mean,
the ocean's a big place, right? They could be somewhere. But the older I got, the more I had to accept it. They were just a fairy tale.
He jerked his head over to the waterline and the rolling waves. They crashed against the shore, then drew back.
This is a perfect beach for them. It's pretty and vast, and never too crowded. If merfolk did exist, we definitely would have met one by now. Or at least, we would have heard of someone seeing one. But nothing.
He acted as though the result was a true fulfillment. He let his head hang.
I gotta let that dream go.
You shook your head. Honestly, didn't know what you were expecting from this. Cove chuckled a little to himself, eyes tilted off into the sea, his face still low.
Maybe it's for the best. Let's say a mer person did happen to wash up on the shore one day.
He looked at you with a doleful expression.
I could have lost my girlfriend to their magical underwater world.
I'd go with a mer person, but only if you could come with us too. Cove grinned. He hadn't expected that answer.
You're a nice person, Susan. But what if they didn't want me? Would you seriously stay on land?
You gave him a look. You meant what you had said. The only work of the other offer was for both of you.
Are you sure that's the right call? If a beautiful, kind mer person falls for somebody, I'm pretty positive that the sensible response isn't to turn around and say, "No thanks, I'm gonna stay on land with a normal guy."
Well, since this is all hypothetical, why not have you be the mer person? Cole turned his face to me, but he brightened immediately.
Now we're talking. I'd be a good merman, right?
I could see it.
Heck, yes.
Cole's gaze was drawn back to the water with shining eyes. No, seriously, if there was a merman cove, I'd be fangirling over it just because you guys know how much I love mermaids. I love merfolks. So I love merfolk.
Mermaid AU, our lives.
That would be funny. I mean, you got the Persona AU still going.
Well, you know, it's still kind of funny considering that the VTuber version, at least in David's reality, your version of Susan is technically dating a merfolk, so...
Oh.
Remember the half shark thing? Technically, that...
Oh.
Remember
Well,
half
then.
human, half shark?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, you were also the yeah, in that universe, you're also a bunny, like part bunny.
Oh, yeah, I remember those photos, yeah. No, it's been a while. I want to change outfits for you guys.
Sounds good.
There we go. I'm gonna be in blue.
Hey.
He was clearly imagining some world where he was a merman who could happen upon you here at the beach. He tried to picture what he could be thinking. It was quite a lovely story. And then you heard Miranda screech. Your attention immediately switched over to your friends. You saw that Terry had gotten impatient, shifted her legs. The walls Miranda had meticulously building collapsed into a wet heap of sand. She surveyed the damage critically. We're gonna have to start over that part. Don't you just want to give up on this now?
No way.
The broil. Hold on.
Yeah, no problem.
1 moment, folks.
Not a problem. Alright. How's everyone in chat doing? Like, your host will be back shortly.
Sorry, folks, you're gonna have to give me a few minutes. My parents need me over for something.
Okay.
So, I'll be right back. Hang tight.
Yep. Well, in that case, let's see. Well, I guess I could have the VTuber version read the, Alright, I think I got something, especially in relation to the merfolk thing. Okay.
Look at this stuff. Isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my collection's complete? Wouldn't you think I'm the one who has everything? Look at this trove, treasures untold. How many wonders can one cavern hold? Looking around here, you'd think, sure, she's got everything. I've got gadgets and gizmos aplenty. I've got who's it and what's it galore. You want thingamabobs? I've got 20. But who cares? No big deal. I want more. I wanna be where the people are. I wanna see them dancing, walking around on those, what do you call them? Oh right, feet. Flipping your fins, you don't get too far. Legs are required for jumping, dancing, strolling around the, what's that word again? Street. Up where they walk, up where they run, up where they stand in the sun, wandering free. Wish I could be part of that world. Where's that? Alright, Benari, get back to your stuff, I guess. Probably just, well, ruin the vault by mistake.
Probably didn't. but eh. Yeah, she's been gone for a bit, huh? Hmm? Oh, you can wait a minute. Okay, huh? Not know you can encounter this. Wait, what the? Okay, so apparently, the character Baxter.
You know, the one that has the interesting voice, the one that's very convincing. Apparently, according to the wiki at least, he's actually pansexual. Very, very interesting.
Okay then. I don't know where I'm going with this bit. Yeah, hopefully nothing happened on Susan's end. I'm gone for a bit. Let's see. Hmm.
Alright, I'm back.
Oh, welcome back. Yeah, not much happened.
Okay, my parents were just like, "Hey, Susan, we can't find this picture that we were trying to save." And I'm like, "Well, you saved it as a PDF, first of all." So I, like, had to go and crop it for them and then put it on my dad's Facebook, so that was the thing.
What's a Google?
Like, legit, I had to teach my parents how to actually use the crop function.
Bruh. But yeah, don't worry. Nothing mischievous happened while you were out.
Should I be concerned?
Nah, I think you're fine.
Alright. Alright, let's continue. Also, we might be ending it after this because it's almost 9 o'clock, and, I'm supposed to be watching a certain blue-haired boy tonight, cause he's doing uncut karaoke, and the group's music video is debuting tonight, so I'm excited. Woot!
Nice.
No way! The burial must continue! I'll try not to move anymore. Okay, if you're sure, I'll try to fix this. Miranda started to rebury her, and Terry shot her a thumbs up. She realized too late that moving her arm was a bad idea. More of the stand on her crumbled, and Miranda put her head in her hands. Cole caught her eye and started to drag himself up.
Seems like we're needed.
You agreed and followed him over to the girls. Miranda nodded at you both with appreciation, and the three of you did your best to finish the job. You all worked out a system of using just enough wet sand to help hold the rest together. With 3 people, it didn't take long for Terry to be entombed. Terry grinned massively, and Miranda offered her high fives. The pile was officially done. Oh, yeah! Resembling the Kool-Aid Man, she kicked herself out of the ground with gusto. Sand went flying in all directions, and a Terry-shaped imprint was left behind.
The Kool-Aid Man. Okay. Sorry, continue.
Miranda yelled out again, and Cove chuckled. There probably wasn't a better way to get out of it. Before you continued to have a good time, you went on a shell hunt. Miranda managed to find the biggest while you found the most colorful, and Cove caught a tiny crab. You did a bit of everything. There were impromptu games to just soaking up each other's company. However, after a while, you all ran out of water, drinkable water anyway. It was decided that you should head over to yours or Co's house. Things were gathered and you started to cheerfully walk up the road. What next? I don't have anywhere to go, so it could be whatever.
Same. I guess we can keep hanging out.
Terry snorted and readjusted her grip on her things. Don't sound too sure there, Cove. By this point, you could see your house. It hadn't taken you long to make the trip. The conversation continued with everyone throwing out suggestions. Are people hungry? She looked from face to face in expectation. Cove and Miranda shrugged in concert. No one was overly opposed to it. However, you weren't really starving. It wasn't quite mealtime. We could get dessert. Miranda put a finger to her lips and thought. With her smile, her voice became more confident. Yeah, that'll be fun. Terry considered it, then shot Miranda a thumbs up.
Sure.
Sounds great to me.
I can definitely go for that.
I think that's a good idea. But there's nothing sweet at my house. Your friend glanced at Cove in his place. He shook his head immediately.
Dad doesn't have anything good either. I mean, unless you want dessert-flavored protein shakes.
Ew! No! She cut in and held her hands up as if trying to ward off something evil. Cove smirked.
Not bad.
It's not that bad.
Nope.
Well,
There has to be some kind of sweet shop around here. Let's look for it. Terry nodded and started to dig around in her bag. I like the way you think. Terry continued rummaging her bag and grew increasingly frustrated. She puffed out her cheeks and knelt down, setting the bag on the ground. With both hands free, she was finally able to fish out her phone. She raised it up in triumph for a brief moment of celebration.
I'm on it.
I'll search for something good. Terry got back to her feet, hefting the bag over one arm, tapping away at her screen in the other. But she assessed Cove from top to bottom. No shirt, no shoes, no service. Cove glanced down at his bare chest and feet, having not even registered it prior. He chuckled a little.
I'll grab something.
Cove moved over to his house. He looked towards yours. He decided to change as well. You felt like you'd become more comfortable in something more streetwear than beachwear. You inclined your head over to the side. I'm gonna change too.
Sure.
Go for it. We'll wait. Miranda nodded with a smile. You ran into your house. No one was home, so you just rushed to your room and dropped off your beach stuff on your bed. You completely changed into casual clothes. You stripped and found a suitable outfit to go hang out in. You slipped it on and felt satisfied with your decision. With that, you stepped back outside. Cole was already there and gathered around Terry's phone with the girls. You opted to just add a shirt and shoes, apparently putting in the minimum effort for service.
Oh, hello again.
Hey.
You don't really want ice cream, do you? You didn't have a chance to answer. She kept barreling through with her words. 'Cause I'm not into that right now.
that's cool.
Don't mind her. You look nice, by the way. Terry scrolled further and then made an interesting exclamation. Oh, what about this place? They sell crepes. That's something you don't see every day. Look how fancy they are. She shoved her phone into your face. It seemed like a cute shop. It didn't show any pictures of the actual building, but the food seemed good. It's one of those places that put a lot of effort into the presentation with branded wrapping for the crepes as well as applied toppings.
Huh.
Weird. I've never heard of it.
I haven't either. Mysterious, but crepes are so good. She nodded her approval as Terry admired more of the photos.
Well, I'd go. It's not too far, but we could drive.
Terry cheered at the success of a plan made as you all walked around the Cove's car. He had to run inside once more to grab his keys. He waited for Cove. Terry leaned back against the car door as the group stood by for his return. The car beeped and unlocked. Code ran up to you with his car keys in hand. His hair slipped into his face as he brushed it back. Shotgun! She clambered into the passenger seat without hesitation. He didn't argue and climbed into the back with Miranda. Terry activated the directions on her phone map and acted as their navigator, driving Cove to the crepes. The GPS tried to get Cove to turn to a non-existent road once and wanted him to do a U-turn instead of just using a left turn, but with Terry looking at the actual path, it went smooth enough. You were led to a small stall in the parking lot rather than a full building. That explained why there hadn't been any pictures of the crepier's interior, and why it was so new to you despite living in this town your entire life. It was a completely new structure that popped up recently. There was a window you could walk up to and one for cars to drive up to. Cove parked with a laugh.
Come on.
I don't think I need to put a shirt on for this, but I still want to try it. Let's go.
What?
Do you trust us not to eat in your car?
Yes.
She gestured to the drive-thru option. Cove shook his head with a snort.
I trust some people here. Maybe? But wouldn't it be more fun to actually check it out?
Everyone acknowledged his point and filed out. Terry tried to tease Cove a little, but Miranda started talking about the last time she had grapes. Apparently, they'd been a dessert explosion, topped with multiple sauces, powdered sugar, and what Miranda was pretty sure had to be cake icing. That's sweet.
So great.
Literally, it was so good, but I regretted it so much I couldn't finish it and I was really tired. You can do it this time, Randy. Ooh. There were some laughs. When you got up to the menu, you realized that there were more than just crepes. There were definitely crepes, many crepes. However, the stall also had a lot of different drinks as well. Teas, smoothies, milkshakes.
Woo!
Jackpots! She grinned and held out her fist for a fist bump. Miranda high-fived it. The two stared at the awkward, vaguely turkey-shaped hand configuration that they had made and slipped with their hands down. Cove's mouth twitched in a smile. You stepped up to order first. You glanced back at the menu. I want a crepe and drink. Hello. I'd like to get a crepe and a drink, please. There was a woman who looked a little older than you'd taken the orders. She smiled back at you, ready to hear the specifics of your purchase. For the crepe itself, you wanted chocolate. For the filling and toppings, I want chocolate chips, chocolate syrup, whipped cream. That was all. After you picked the size, you were asked what you wanted to drink. You ordered a chocolate milkshake. I'm getting chocolate everything. You also could add mixed or
chocolate's a good flavor, so
mixed or toppings for the drink. Chose to add chocolate syrup and whipped cream. That's it. You paid and stepped aside to let your friends order. Cove got a lemon crepe with powdered sugar on top and the mixed berries. He also got a plain strawberry smoothie. Terry went crazy with toppings. Although she ordered a plain crepe, she had it smothered with whipped cream, cream cheese, chocolate chips, chocolate syrup, and bananas. Miranda opted for a frappe with caramel syrup and condensed milk. Before you stood up to the side, you waited for your treats.
Well, I heard what you ordered, Susan. Glad I'm not the only one to go for a drink and a crepe.
I couldn't just pick one, then why not?
Exactly. Gonna be good.
Susan, man, your crepe is kinda rock. High five for the topping appreciation. She held her hand out expectantly. High five. You hit her hand with a satisfied smack. Order for Susan! Oh, I gotta get that. You grabbed your order. The others didn't take much time after that. With the goods collected, everyone admired their treats. Terry dug right into hers, and Miranda gave hers a tentative sip. Terry nodded, accepting her mouth completely full. Miranda tilted the frappe over her with a grin. Terry sipped it and carefully loved it. She raised her crepe over to Miranda. You can tell that she was only in intent to make it look nice, but with all the assorted toppings piled on, only so much could be done. Miranda took a huge bite with gusto and sighed happily. Terry seemed satisfied and took another slurp of Miranda's drink. They both only got one thing, probably because they knew they'd end up sharing. Cole went over to you, and there was definite interest in his eyes at your order.
Well, I just want to say you can try mine. Pretty good in summary.
bruh.
You tasted his and shared yours. He handed you his crepe first, and you tore off a piece and brought it to your mouth. It was tart from the lemon, but the syrupy berry mix brought in the sweetness. The balance between the thin, almost spongy crepe and the juicy toppings made for quite a unique set of textures. You passed him yours, and he tilted his smoothie over. You took a sip and had to suck up a large strawberry chunk before the actual smoothie came up the straw. It was mostly smooth with the delightful tiny crystals of ice and the occasional bite of the fresh strawberry. It matched well with a crepe with even more berryness. Cove enjoyed his sampling too. He had a giant smile on his face and looked almost disappointed when he saw back your treats. With that, Cove started to eat his treat in earnest. He saw him take a huge gulp of his smoothie, and without swallowing, he added a bite of his lemon crepe. His habit of mixing foods together wasn't anything new. He hummed in satisfaction, so I guess he must have taken light to the combined flavor. Cove? Terry tore off a piece of her crepe and held it out to Cove.
So?
Care to make a trade?
Sure.
Instead of continuing to loiter in the parking lot, the four of you started to walk down the sidewalk. There was a lot of sharing going on, with crepe biting and toppings being passed around. You wouldn't have been surprised if Terry ended up drinking more frappe than Miranda did. He kept going down the way, eating, drinking, and chatting. You hadn't realized just how far the group had wandered until you ended up at the now leaving sign. Apparently you were just about to walk right out into the middle of nowhere. Terry took her mouth off Miranda's straw and stopped sipping on the frappe. Ah! Impossible! Preposterous! How are we already at the end? I always forget how tiny this town is. Cope chuckled a little and swallowed a chunk of Terry's crepe.
I guess.
It kinda is, huh? It didn't feel that small when we were growing up.
Well, I see there wasn't much here. Sunset Bird had never been a sprawling metropolis. Your neighborhood in particular was minuscule. I guess it means we should probably head back. One doesn't just walk into nowhere land.
Not with that attitude.
We're not the only ones, Terry. There's 4 of us. Terry scrunched up in her face, not wanting to acknowledge the bad joke. She decided to ignore it. This thing's having to go all the way back. Yeah, but it's not like there's anything out in that direction.
And if we did keep going forward, it'd be an even longer trip home.
He stared off into the stretch of road as Cope agreed that he didn't want to go out any further. Can we take a break here first before we turn around? We've been walking around for a while and someone finished my drink. Right on cue, Terry loudly sucked the air from the straw. It was so good! Miranda looked at her, but Terry remained unrepentant. In the end, though, it was agreed to hang around the sign before heading back to the car. It didn't take long to finish the rest of the food and drinks. Everyone gathered up the trash and stuffed it into bags and pockets for now. The group relaxed on the grass, keeping count of all the cars that drove past. It was not a high number. 14. The news car passing drove into town from somewhere outside. But as the vehicle came by, it slowed down and he watched as it ultimately rolled to a complete stop. The black car parked right by the now leaving sign. Everyone exchanged a baffled look. But then the tinted window rolled down and the driver perked out. As soon as you saw his hair, you recognized him. No one else knew presented themselves so distinctively.
Ah, hello, neighbors.
Cobb also jolted with recognition. He passed on a cordial smile and waved politely. Afterwards, he put his mouth back over the straw of his long empty drink as if trying to act cool. Hi! You inhale and try to be loud enough to account for the distance and car noise.
It's nice to see you again.
Somehow he was able to project his voice in such a way that still sounded smooth, even though he was definitely speaking loudly. You wonder where he learned to do that. And you thought about the odd picture this made. A fancy black car pulled up to talk to a group of teens, mostly still in beachwear. Miranda was incredibly confused and shrank back to watch. Terry tilted her head up in an unspoken question. Cole made a quick gesture pointing towards Baxter, and a light bulb went off for Terry.
Alright.
Ah, that's the new person in the condo, the bee man, right?
Yeah, Baxter.
Oh, I wasn't sure if I had actually seen him. Her voice was quiet. Miranda usually got shy around new people. Terry was quite the opposite. Incredible! This is perfect! Terry hopped off in the grass and ran to Baxter's car full of excitement. Behind her, Miranda picked herself up and dusted imaginary dirt off her clothes. She sent a searching look to you and Cove, to which Cove shrugged. Miranda nodded and, with clenched fists, hesitantly followed Terry. Terry bent down to talk to Baxter through his window. She blasted through instructions, with Miranda putting in a shy wave. Cove looked at you. He clearly had no intent of going over. She encouraged Cove to come. Come on, let's go and see him. Cove pouted. His cheeks flared out in a childish puff.
I don't want to. I don't know what to say.
Fine.
You can go. I'll just wait until he's gone.
You really should come. You can do it. Don't you want to be the only person who doesn't go see him?
Well, why can't you stay here with me instead?
You sighed. He was definitely going to be difficult about this. Some days he really was the same grouchy 8-year-old you met all those years ago. I'll stay with you then. Until you waited for the others to finish up, you couldn't hear what they were saying from there, but you could see from the body language that Terry was up to something and Miranda didn't like it. You and your neighbor exchanged a look. After Miranda seemed to calm down slightly, Terry turned around to wave at you. She put her hands to her face to make a megaphone. Come on, get over here! Baxter's giving us a ride! Cole's mouth popped open in surprise, and his lips curled together in a clear displeasure.
Alright.
I should have known. She's always pulling something.
He took a slow breath and then shrugged.
Guess we have to get over there. It's gonna be really awkward now since he knows we tried not talking to him.
Yeah, we can't hide out here forever. He followed him over to the car, apparently about to get a lift. You were just happy to get a ride. Regardless of anything else, you didn't have to walk back. That's what counted, and you were grateful to Terry for arranging it. You arrived at the driver's side window, and Baxter smiled welcomely.
Hello.
Hey.
Cove greeted him mildly, his expression cautious. Howdy, Baxter. Alright. Alright.
Oh, sorry.
Alrighty, plan made. Let's hop in.
Sorry, I thought that was Baxter.
No. You excitedly opened the passenger side door and buckled yourself in. The car was pristine, and you were right near the new car's scented air freshener. Baxter had the air conditioner on cold, but so low that it was pleasantly cool inside. A nice relief from the summer sun you had been baking in it all day. Your friends clamored on in the back. It definitely seemed the slightest bit squished back there.
Does that sound alright?
Welcome to my vehicle. I hope everyone is comfortable. And if someone could point me in the right direction, we can be on our way.
Terry went back into navigator mode and outlined their journey. It was basically a straight line with one turn at the end into the parking lot. Baxter nodded from up in the driver's seat and pulled back into the road. Luckily, the street was still dead empty. It took no time at all for Baxter to park right next to Cove's car. There wasn't even enough time for a proper conversation to start. The occupants didn't seem to mind. There were smiles all around when Baxter parked next to Cove's car. Woohoo! Miranda clapped quietly as Terry cheered. Cove chuckled nervously. He smiled. You were glad to have reached your destination and pleased at the fanfare of your friends. You didn't say a word, but Terry and Miranda definitely caught your amusement.
We've arrived. That was easy.
Terry flung open her door and climbed out.
Thanks.
Everyone else exited the car as well. The group thanked Baxter with varying degrees of enthusiasm. Baxter himself got out too. Everyone congregated again in front of Baxter's and Cove's cars. Terry bounced over to Baxter and offered her hand for a handshake. He accepted it easily with a charming grin. You're a pal.
You're too kind. It was no trouble whatsoever. I'll be keeping this car all this summer. If it suits you, you're welcome to take my number and give me a ring whenever you're in need of another ride. And that goes for everyone here.
I have a car.
Terry busted into laughter. Miranda fidgeted. She did not know what to do with that. Baxter really went fast, didn't he? He noticed her discomfort and smiled with a soft tilt of the head.
I'd be happy to help again. But that's the only reason I offered. If you don't need it, you can pass on it.
Can I have your number? He beamed wildly your response.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Baxter pulled out a pen, and he had it with him for some reason and jolted his number down. He passed the little paper to you, and you accepted. With her giggles subsided, Terry put a hand over her chin with brows furrowed. I wonder, will that option be available right now? You could valet us somewhere cool.
What?
What?
Cole was taken aback. He put a hand on the hood of his car.
Weren't we going back to the neighborhood? Wasn't Baxter going back to the neighborhood too? Why would we go somewhere else?
Because we can? Miranda squirmed nervously and then committed to piping up.
Maybe?
We could go to the park near my place. It's a really nice place to hang out. You and Cove shared a look. The big park was pretty nice. Let's do it! Baxter tapped the side of his face in thought.
It's doable.
That sounds doable.
He glanced at Cove, then switched focus to you.
Well,
Well, we have 2 cars. If some people want to go to the park, I could still take the others home, but if everyone's going, it wouldn't make sense for me not to.
Want to continue at the park? You weren't ready to tag out yet. You came to a decision and turned to Cove. Let's go to the park.
Alright, park time it is.
He smiled a little. Terry cheered and Miranda nodded happily. You felt like you made a good decision.
Yeah!
To the car! Again! Which car? There are multiple. I wanted to see if Cove or Baxter had an answer. Cove sighed and ran a hand through his hair. He tapped on his car's hood nervously.
I guess.
We can go in Baxter's, I guess. It'll be less of a pain than bringing both. We're all going to the same place.
Alright. Are you okay with that, Baxter?
Certainly, I meant what I said. When you need a lift, I can give it.
Sorry, I need to readjust myself. There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, no problem.
Neither you or Terry brought up any objections, and so the gang climbed into Baxter's nice ride. This time, Baxter offered to turn on some music. After all, it would be a little bit of a drive to the park. Can we see what's on the radio?
Absolutely, we can.
Baxter pressed a button on the dash and pop music started blaring. He carefully turned the volume down so it was low enough to talk over. He reached over to switch the station, but then he noticed Terry was already rocking out. He dropped his hand and placed it back on the steering wheel. I love this song!
Me too.
He smiled at the girls and started checking his mirrors. With the music taken care of, he put the car in a drive and started driving to the park. The parking lot was practically empty, but you noticed he was careful anyways. It took a while to arrive. By the time he got there, the sky was golden with the orange streaks of sunset. Everyone got out of the cars and started to stroll along one of the paths. You walked by the basketball court and some picnic tables, taking in the sights. Marina seemed amazingly content. The location helped her relax in the company. She led the way, sometimes stopping her or there to point something out. Baxter turned to her and nodded along.
Not bad.
I've never been here, but I definitely see the appeal.
Man, this is Randy's stomping ground. She's been coming here forever. Seriously, Miranda, have you ever had a birthday party that wasn't here? You've missed out, Baxter, because every year she has a blowout party at the park. Imagine, balloons everywhere. Miranda looked down, suddenly shy again with the attention on her. She let out an awkward laugh. Yep, every year. Actually, my birthday is when I first started to really get to know Cove and Susan. She smiled and pointed to a wide, flat spot on the grass. Remember the bounce house?
I remember.
He chuckled and you could practically see those old memories on his face.
It was a party for the ages. You were great.
It was a blast. The group followed Miranda along to one of the picnic tables. She took a seat and Terry slid in beside her. He spent the evening chatting amongst each other. Everyone got to know Baxter a little better, although you could tell Cove and him still hadn't fully clicked. At one point, Miranda found an abandoned soccer ball and started tossing it around. To me! Miranda threw the ball to her and Terry caught it with a smile. Think fast! She chucked it at Baxter, who only had enough time to squeak. It bounced off his chest and he stared at it dazed. He blinked as if he needed time to process what exactly happened, but then he grinned dangerously. He rushed after the ball, and rather than throwing it back, he surprised Terry and everyone else by lobbing the ball high into the air. You bent your neck back to watch it ascend and inevitably decline. Baxter hooked it with his hood and launched it up again. There were oohs and ahs from Terry and Miranda. Baxter gave them a very proper bow. When it finally fell to the ground for real, Cole was the one who picked it up. He was impressed, and he wanted in. With that, everyone was drawn into the game. It was unspoken that whoever did the fanciest trick won. Most of the game was not particularly practiced with throwing a ball, so not many of the tricks were actually good. However, there was a lot of laughter, and you got to see Miranda pull off a round off where she threw the ball with her feet, so that was cool. The sunset eventually darkened into night, and the streetlights turned on. Your group's chosen picnic table laid in a bubble of light. The occasional bug cast a shadow as they flew by. It's a little strange being here so late on a normal night. Usually, that only happens if there is a party or an important game or a fireworks show. Fireworks! Her yell startled Baxter, who was throwing the ball nonchalantly from hand to hand. He missed catching it and it sailed sadly back to the ground. He looked at Terry from her loud outburst. I just remembered! There's gonna be a fireworks show tonight! It's in the city! At everyone's questioning, she looked up and tried to explain it further. It's some celebration for the opening of something. I don't remember what. I don't think we could get to the actual event anyways.
Hell yeah!
But we should be able to see the show if we get close. You can't be keeping explosions in the sky away from the public. Cove raised an eyebrow and drummed his fingers on the table below him.
You want to change locations again? Wasn't the last few times enough?
Terry rolled her eyes and then shook her head. To her, it was obvious. Don't be a wet blanket, Cove. What about you, Susan? Randy? Baxter? Don't you want to see fireworks? It's fireworks. We gotta go.
I guess they are fireworks. Alright, whatever. What's one more scene change?
Yes, I knew this was a good idea. In turn, 4 sets of eyes looked at Baxter. As the driver his answer made or broke the plan, he chuckled softly.
In for a penny, in for a pound. I'll go.
Honestly.
Genuinely, there's nothing better to occupy my time tonight. We better hurry or we might miss it.
Cole rolled his eyes but laughed. Everyone headed back to the car yet again. Terry brought out her phone to navigate to the city and Baxter stepped on the gas. You were on your way. Baxter drove past buildings along a glow and warm yellow lights that cut through the navy black night. One office building had bright LED lights that cycled through a whole rainbow of hues. It was difficult to get through all the traffic on the road, let alone find parking this late at night. Luckily, Miranda had eagle eyes when it came to scooping out a spot. She pointed to a sedan pulling out and Baxter parked within seconds. Not wanting to miss the show, you all raced down the waterfront walkway to find a place with a good view. What about here? Here, I'm just gonna do one more save just in case.
Okay. Yep.
Frig! No!
And it. Ah!
I know!
Right at.
Ah, man. Ah. Shoot. Ah. I want to go read through all that again. Ugh. Sorry about that, folks. I don't know why I keep doing that. Let me try again. Ugh. Ugh. Try and sit up again. I probably have... Okay, hold on. I'm going to, let me turn my window capture off and just go through the scene again so you guys don't have to go... Oh.
Okay.
Hang on, let me load. Oh, I had to start from the beginning of the scene. God damn it. I have to skip through all this again. I'm so mad about that.
Are you okay?
I really have to go through all this again. I really don't want to go through all this again. I'm so mad. You know what? No, I'm not gonna go through it again. It crashed already twice, and I don't want to go through all that stalking again. Okay. Probably next time we do this, I'll try and get back to the scene where we left off. Hopefully. Sorry about that, guys. Maybe it is being weird with the VTuber program, but that's probably also because we were sharing screens too, so maybe that helped. Maybe that was a factor in too. Apologies for that, guys. I guess in the meantime, why don't I try and find somebody to raid? And then I get back into my kimono. There we go. Let me see. Who do I want to raid tonight? Hmm. Hmm. Should I rate someone familiar or someone new? Ba 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 ba. Could rate them, but I never rate him. Hmm. What's he playing? Let me check something real quick. Hold on. Is this a horror game? No, it isn't. So we got 7 viewers though. We could use some company. Yeah, I think I got a raid target we can go to. So the person we're gonna raid, his name is Majin Orca. He's actually Billy's head moderator. If you guys don't know One Little Piranha, Majin's basically Billy's head mod, so we're kind of acquainted. I just became one of Billy's mods a couple weeks ago, so well, like literally a week ago, so I never raided him before because he lives in a different time zone, so how about we go send some love to him? Sound good, sweetie?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we'll put in the raid message then. Again, I do apologize for the whole delay in the thing, guys. I mean, this was just a test to see if I could run this model, and it kind of does work. It just, if it has memory issues, though, with the game crashing, that might be a problem, so... I might not to have this thing on when I'm doing the game. So, it was a try, but maybe find a game that doesn't give too much, like, you know, things. Yeah. Sorry guys, I'm being a little slow with typing. Give me a second. Yeah. Because I don't want to be too late with this because like I said, I got something I gotta go watch tonight, so yeah. Till next time, guys. I'm Susan, and my boyfriend and I. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Take care.